We are live.
And
We are live.
Welcome to Bears Banter, where the Bears fans come to meet to talk about the Chicago Bears. Welcome to week number 6, Chicago Bears versus the Carolina Panthers. Tonight on the broadcast of the prediction show, you have myself, Bernard Muhammad, Keith Flournoy, Jaye Beasley, and Guy Moore. Welcome to the broadcast.
All
How
right,
y'all
What's
doing
fellas.
going on,
tonight?
guys? How y'all doing?
Oh,
Oh,
doing
Good.
that's
we
good.
have
good.
That's
a
good.
we have a
Good.
noticeable absence today.
We're
Oh
trying
yeah,
to get
like you
back on
mentioned
the
that
on a
Tammy's
winning
missing.
team again. So
Right.
yes,
I know, right?
Right. Yeah, so this week we have an interesting game coming up. The Bears playing Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then also, I said
Carolina
Tampa
Panthers.
Bay, but I mean Carolina. They just beat Tampa Bay.
right.
They
Uh,
right down the
All
street. They right down the street. Probably the same
right,
train line.
right. So right now, who we have for Football 101 tonight is Jaye Beasley. He's going to do a little segment on stuff that we wanted to know. I want to go over to some of the questions tonight. Before we jump into the questions, actually, what do some of y'all think about the discussion that's been going on about the Bears maybe attaining Le'Veon Bell?
right.
What do you think about that, Jay? This is kind of before we get to the questions. Just something that kind of came up.
uh, I actually thought it would have been good to kind of kick the tires to see what was up with it. But at the same time, I do know that it's a reason why I think the Bears didn't do it because they looking at previous experiences. Like, he sat out in Pittsburgh and he was kind of lullabying in New York. And I just think with the structure that they have, they weren't really trying to rock the boat. You know what I'm saying? And I actually think they like Lamar Miller too. So I'm thinking that's the reason why they didn't kick the tires on it. But it would have been nice. It would have been nice.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering what does his running style fit with the Chicago
That's a good.
Bears offense?
That's a good point.
Uh,
That's a good point too.
yeah.
I
Hey Keith, Plank, what do you think about that?
I think his running style, as far as wanting Le'Veon Bell, I think his running style fits very well with the Bears because he's such a patient runner. So he
That's
waits
true.
he gives the hole an opportunity to open. He can see what the offensive linemen are doing. So he's a very complete back as far as his ability to run inside, outside, as well as his ability to do pass protection and get in the passing game. He makes a difference. Now, I don't necessarily like him for the Bears only because of all of his off the field issues. I'm sure there's going to be some residual issues like that coming wherever, just going to follow him wherever he goes. But as a ball player, I think he would have been a good addition. But
Uh,
to Jay's point, I think Lamar Miller is going to give us quite a jolt as well. So let's wait to see what's going to happen on that one.
Okay. Hey guy, what do you think about that as far as the prospect of Le'Veon Bell? Not that the Bears have indicated anything, but I've seen a couple of posts this week on Facebook where people were talking about it, and I heard them talking about it on a couple of sports radio shows.
I thought he signed you last night
Newsflash,
though.
newsflash. Your boy
yeah,
Le'Veon
he did sign
Bell
yesterday.
signed with the Kansas City
The City
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yeah,
There
he
y'all
said he
go.
Okay.
signed yesterday.
I mean, but you think
He
about it
signed
though.
yesterday? Okay.
Black and blue division. I mean, his running style would be perfect for us. But I think a lot of times what they want to do is they kind of temper or they kind of field a certain type of player, not just from a skill, but just like from I guess, a personality standpoint. Because Le'Veon Bell is, like I said, he's a hell of a player, man. But kind of like what they call those guys, like cancer guys. I just think he's just like a real emotional dude. But the Bears probably try to sign the most vanilla players as they can to kind of keep the reins in. But like I said, it is what it is. It would have been nice, but I can't understand why they didn't sign him though.
Yeah, I think from a cultural standpoint, we talk. I'm going to mention two names: Brandon Marshall
There
and
you go.
Marcellus
Right.
Bennett. So,
Right.
I was just about to
how did
say.
that go?
Yeah,
Right. Right.
no, but wait. Let's
A
go
lot of
back to the
talent.
greatest. Let's go back to the greatest, most eccentric Bears player in the history of football, Alonzo Spellman.
A
Like
Oh,
lot
what?
of talent.
Four below zero, walking down in Lake Forest with like big dude
No
with no
clothes on.
shirt on. You
he
think if
wait.
I'm in the car, you think I'm gonna ask him if he okay? I'm gonna be like, hey man,
He had the Superman complex. He
I
looked like
think
Superman played like Lois Lane.
yeah,
Right. Right.
Right.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah. But they
Yeah.
kind of seem like they got guys with a certain type of like personality.
They
I
gonna say
get it.
high character, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's what they want
Yeah.
to call a high character.
Yeah. And if you think about it, in Kansas, in reality, they don't really need him. So he can't go there with arrogant, right? He gonna play the role that they put him in. You
Right.
know, when you come in a situation like the Jets, right? They're not winning games, and you could
mm-hmm.
go and complain. But when you go to a team that just won the Super Bowl, who are doing
He
good
gonna be
without
sitting
you,
like this. He gonna be
right?
sitting there huddled just like this.
And they're loaded.
They're
Right.
loaded, right?
Right. Because it's like we don't really need you. I mean, you're an
Come
asset,
on in.
but we don't need you.
That's like you
We don't
drinking.
Right.
need you.
Right. It's like, you know what? You ain't got no money on this 40, man, but come on here, take a cup. And that's basically, I mean, you know what? But you ever notice though, you get guys like that, he's already got money. He ain't got to worry about the money. But there's something that you got a lot of Hall of Fame players that wish they had that don't have, and some marginal players do. It's like a chip. You know, he goes in and get a chip, and it's like, wait a minute, you mean to say I ain't gonna get scuffed up every week? I got some loot. I get paid to be on the Super Bowl team. If we win the Super Bowl, hey, count me in. He probably sit up here right now and probably write all his answers in.
I
Scared
don't.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I don't see that being his personality. He wants to win
Yeah.
because the team to win because of him.
Because of him,
Right.
yeah. I think that's the
Right.
main thing. And that's one of the things.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah,
good
that's one of the things I thought why I didn't think he fit as well because he kind of went to the Jets. I know it's a losing team, but he went to them saying not like his role. But like it or not, Montgomery is the Bears running back.
Right.
And if
Right.
he's only getting 15 carries, what do you think you're going to get?
Right.
You're going to probably get about 3 or 4. You're gonna probably
I
get
don't
3 or
know.
4. So,
He gonna be
what
like the
you gonna-
Danny Trevathan of running backs. He get one carry. It's like, okay,
I don't
Yeah.
know. Jay, it looked like Kansas City. They had a call this week from Usain Bolt, and they told him they didn't need him. I made that up,
Right.
but they so loaded. I don't see where
Right.
they can fit
Right.
one other superstar
Right.
on from
Right.
their offense, man.
I
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
exactly.
Okay, hey, let me get to our first question so we can get to the predictions. This is one of our normal questions that we do on the predictions show every Friday. Not every Friday, but 2 days before the game. What do the Bears need to do to win against the Panthers? You want to start, Keith?
Yeah, I think the Bears need to give an honest effort against the the Panthers. Part of the issue is I always told you that the Bears play up or down to their competition, so they already think they know how the game is going to go before they even hit the field. So if they just go out there, play their standard defense, let the offense show them which plays are out there. I think the Bears have a good chance of winning. If they think that they've already won the game today, being Friday, a couple days before the game, then we're gonna see the Bears having another sloppy game and sloppy effort. So I think the Bears need to, play the game as it's in front of them.
That's a great point, Keith. Hey, let me read these stats before I go on to Jay and Guy. The Panthers are ranked number 6 in offense. They are averaging about 30 points a game. The Bears are ranked 27 in offense, and they're averaging about 21 points a game. The Bears' defense is 9th, and they're only allowing about 20 points a game. The Panthers' defense is ranked 15, and they're giving up 23 points a game. They're 25th against the run. Teams are
I was
averaging
like, that's so
100.
cute. That is so cute. That is so skewed, but okay. Okay.
Oh, also, Bernard, don't forget last year Teddy Bridgewater killed the Bears when they played
Yeah.
as saying from New Orleans. So I think Teddy Bridgewater is a much better quarterback for against the Bears than they're gonna give him credit for.
Okay. Yeah, and then the last stat is the Bears are 16 against the run, giving up 106. Hey, Guy, you're up next.
Well, let me go a little bit of a slide. First and foremost, so what our defense has to do is we have to make some doggone tackles. That's actually the most important thing about this game. I'm really nervous for a couple reasons. Your boy Davis played with us in 2018 and part of 2019. He was just there. But he's got 21 broken tackles. He's leading the league in that. He's second in receptions with 30 and receiving yards, 206. He's 11th in scrimmage yard amongst all running backs, 426. That's one thing. Now let's go back to your boy TB. 73.4% completion rate. Okay, he's fifth in passing yards, 34 completions for first downs. So for me, it's like in order to stop or neutralize or do something with the pass, you got to do something with the run. But if we not tackling dudes, man, this is going to be a long game for us, man. So we got to basically grab guys. Like I said last week, if you can't tackle them, trip them. Hey, you get a 15-yard penalty, you trip them, at least you stop them. It's better than a touchdown.
Right. Hey, Jay, you're up next.
What do the Bears need to do to win this game? Get off the bus running. I formation. Coach Nagy. Watch my podcast. Watch our podcast. Watch Bears Banter. Get off the bus. Get in the I formation. These dudes giving up 5.4 yards per carry. There is no way Nick Foles should throw the ball 42 times as he's did the last 2 weeks. There is no way. You have got to establish the run against the Carolina Panthers. And that's the only way. Because if you wind up trying to get cute and be in a shootout, it's not going to work. It's not going to work because Teddy Bridgewater got some weapons. They outside weapons. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, the other guy's name escaped me, but they got some weapons and they can put some points on the board. So you need to neutralize their offense by running the football because they're giving up 5.4 yards a carry.
That's a great point. I want to bring up. I got a message from Tammy who can't make it tonight. And Tammy said, make sure that they run the ball. So I'm going to say the same thing. And myself, I know I've been sounding like a broken record. The Bears need to run the ball. A team giving up 133 yards a game, run it down their throat. Run it down their throat. They should not be passing more than about 30 times. They need to get their carries up to be about 20 to 25 carries a game, play good defense. And this is your game for the Bears. Let's go to the.
And I don't know, real quick. I don't know if somebody could look at the stats real quick because they escaped me. But at the same time, when Mitch Trubisky was a starting quarterback, how many times did y'all see the quarterback under? How many times did y'all see Mitch under the center? You know, them running the ball. They had success running the ball. Now everybody all like, oh, the Bears can't run the ball no more. Yeah, they can. If Nagy go ahead and be like, okay, I want to establish the run. And that's what they need to do in this game. 5.4 yards a carry. Carolina Panthers defense is giving up. There's no way you should be able to run the ball.
Yeah, Jay, to that point, let's remember, too, they're going to be without James Daniels, who was a big loss from an offensive line. They replaced him with number 64. I hope Alex Bars is much better than whoever number 64 is. Oh, that is Alex Bars?
That is Alex
He did get
Hey, I
blown
actually
up on
think.
that first play he came in, but
Oh, no.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised to see Rashad Coward at the guard spot come Sunday.
And we've
I wouldn't be
seen him in the
surprised.
past, right?
Yeah,
What's
well,
your
he
assessment of
was.
him?
Well, he at least he started 10 games last year, so at least he got a little bit more experience than Alex Barnes, who started no games last year. So
Right.
I think you probably gonna see Rashad Coward at guard
Okay.
before you see Alex Barnes.
I think that'd be better.
Hey, let me do a recap before I get our predictions. Tammy is at 3-2. Jay is at 2-3. I'm at 2-3. Guys at 3-2, and Plank is at 3-2. Let's start with let's go to the predictions and see where we stand at. In fact, I'll start it off today myself. I'm gonna go. I think this is the game the Bears are gonna finally break through on offense. You gotta have one breakout game.
I agree.
I'm going to go with the Bears 34.
Ooh.
I'm going out there and saying this is going to be a game.
Right.
They're going to finally score some touchdowns. They're going to make up for all the other games. 34-21. And Tammy sent her score in. It was 27-24. You up next, Jay.
Prediction for this game. I actually think the Bears are going to win this game on the road. And my prediction is going to be 28-17.
28-17. Guy, you're up next.
I'm going 30-24 Bears, man. I think it's going to be kind of like a real interesting game because you got some receivers over on Carolina's side, but I think we're going to break through, man. So there you have
it. Okay. Plank, you're up next.
Okay, I see this game going 28-21 Bears. Carolina does have some receivers, but they're going up the best two corners pound for pound in the NFL right now. So
Absolutely.
I'm thinking the Bears are going to clamp them down. I'd like to think they're going to have to commit a little bit more to the run. And another thing that's taken away from the run is Trubisky actually is a threat to run. Versus Foles, you already know what you're getting. So I'd like to see us, try to commit a little bit to the run and maybe get into more of a rhythm. So that's how I see the game coming, and I hope we're right.
And I just want to make one comment with my prediction.
Caveat, okay.
You got
don't punk out now. Don't punk out now.
I'm not gonna punk out, but I am gonna say during his tenure, Matt Nagy is 1-4 after a bye week or a Thursday night game. So it's almost like the mad scientist who we think he is, he has too much time to prepare and don't be prepared. He's 1-4 in games after Thursday or bye weeks. So let's just keep that in mind.
He reminds me of the guy that's trying to beat himself and playing a game of chess and switching the board, and he needs to let them be them, like he keeps saying. But I'm not quite sure who being them is.
I don't know who be you. Who is you? Who is you right now?
Right.
Who are you?
That's the question. That's the question. Who is he? He's definitely not an offensive coordinator. Right.
Who are you?
Yeah.
He has amnesia. He's not an offensive coordinator. Hey, down at the bottom, you'll see information for one of our co-hosts, Tammy Harris. If you'd like to get a copy of her new CD release, it's down at the bottom.
And it's nice, too.
Yeah.
It's
and
nice.
also, if
It's
you'd
nice.
like to join the broadcast,
Nice.
that's nice. Yeah, it has a real nice CD. It's a lot of Chicago artists that she's did her personal rendition of their music.
Yeah, all Chi-Town.
All Chi-Town.
Show you right.
Okay, what we're going to do now is we're about to move to Football 101 with Jay.
Football
Hey, Jay.
101.
Yeah, hey, Jay, can you give us a little background on yourself before we get into the interview? Like where you play high school football and where did you play college football and what position that you played?
I I played high school football at John F. Kennedy High School, which is over on the southwest side. I was a 3-year starter, and back in those times we went both ways. I was a 3-year starter at wide receiver and DB, but I mostly excelled at wide receiver. I went to Alcorn State University, 1987, and played there for a year. And I wound up coming back home after that because I found out that being a high school receiver, you're good in your state, but once you go somewhere else, everybody else is good too. And it was like, okay, you know what? We don't need you. we don't need you. But yeah. So I played ball. I played ball high school, 1 year of college, and I came home. And after I didn't play ball, I still wanted to be in the sport, which is why I became I was a journalism major, which is why I became a sports writer. And I was a sports writer, editor, assistant editor, sports editor at the Western Courier throughout my time, at Western.
Yeah, I just found that out today from Joe Cool. He had mentioned it today on the post.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was giving you praise on the post, and Joe Cool said, "Yeah, that's from all them years being a sports editor."
Yeah.
I said, that's why he's breaking down them stats all the time.
Hey, I'm a stat guy. I am a stat guy. I will kill you with stats. I will kill you with stats.
Right.
You're right. You do.
Yeah, you do.
Hey, Plank and Guy, did y'all have any questions before Jay jump into the interview part?
Yeah, I do. Hey, Jay, give me a 2-Jet X quick. Fly, why Dino? I don't know what that means. It just sounded. I do have a question, and it has to do with the route tree. Specifically, can you sort of explain what that is to the general public?
Well, what a route tree is you have routes, and they are numbered. Well, some people number them, some people name them, but a lot of times they're numbered. So you got and they just put it up there for you. There you go. So you got a 1, you got a 1, you got a 2, you got a 3, you got a 4. They call it a tree because it kind of looked like a tree, and you can be in a huddle, and the quarterback will call flanker right, eye backfield, or in Nagy's case, 5 wide, 5 wide, single back, 450, 4-5. So that means that the outside wide receiver is going to run a 4 route. The inside receiver, the slot receiver is going to run a 5 route. Right, and it goes that's way on the other side. So when you running these routes, you have to make sure that once the route is called, you have to have the proper spacing and run the proper route at the proper length. Because a lot of times people don't understand what happens is when you don't run the correct route, or even if your route calls for 10 yards and you run 8 yards, that could be the difference between a completion and an interception.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what's up.
I had a question for Jay as well. Jay, as a receiver, what differentiates the best receivers versus just mediocre ones? Obviously, it can't just be physical attributes, speed, strength, or whatever. What makes a receiver really, really good?
Finesse in your route running. A lot of people think just because I'm fast, I can be a wide receiver. Randy Moss, I really think in my lifetime is the only person that was able to do that. Because Randy Moss was not a good route runner. He can run an ad route, which is straight down the field, but he was never a good route runner. Finesse in running your routes is what makes you a good wide receiver. Because you don't have to be fast to be a good wide receiver. But if you're a good route runner, you can make some catches.
Okay, so give me an example of what you mean by good route runner.
A good route runner I sent Bernard a list today of some route runners. You got people like Antonio Brown is one of the best route runners I ever seen because your route could call you to run a 10-yard out, but are you just gonna run straight and run it out, or are you gonna kind of slant it in and then break it down and then cut it out? That's what makes a good route runner. You have to be able to deceive the DB because you can make a DB. You can come off the line of scrimmage and make a DB think you running a 9 route, and then you just stop on a dime and break it down. It ain't a lot of wide receivers that can do that. But if you got speed and can run routes, you're gonna be a good wide receiver.
You know what? I always said that there's roughly like 13 one-on-one scenarios in any football game. That's the 11 players each going one-on-one. You got the coaches one-on-one, and you got time. My question for you is your matchup with given any given cornerback or whatever it is. What type of how can I explain this? When you're going up against a guy, like say a guy likes to jam you, or just say you're going to run a fade route or whatever, how does that explain to us, like, how does that one-on-one battle go as far as what you're trying to achieve as opposed to what the defensive back is trying to keep you from doing?
You have to beat him off the line of scrimmage. And that's the thing. The key, to use the example that you said in a jam situation, you've got to beat him off the line of scrimmage. That means you got to have head movement. You got to have hip movement. You got to be able to beat a guy one-on-one. And if you can't beat a guy one-on-one off the line of scrimmage, you cannot be a good wide receiver in the NFL. Perfect example. David Terrell, who the Bears wasted a draft pick on from Michigan. He was terrible getting off the line of scrimmage because he didn't know how to hand fight. He didn't know how to swim move. He didn't know how to do none of that. All his whole thing was, I was in college and I was able to run a route. And that's the thing about it now. These colleges, and I said this back a couple of weeks ago, but even about the quarterbacks, these colleges don't prepare these kids for the NFL because it's really all about win now. These spread offenses that they got going on in college right now, they don't teach these kids these route trees. They like run to a spot and we're gonna throw you the ball. And that doesn't transfer well in the NFL. That's why you got Darnell Mooney, who I want to talk about. He's a 5th round draft pick. But if you see this dude, he got speed and he know how to run routes.
Sure.
All these other guys that got drafted in the 1st round, I like them. You got like CeeDee Lamb, you got Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson from LSU, who's with the Vikings right now. Excellent route runner. But he came from a program that teaches these wide receivers how to run routes.
Right.
Hey, Jay, I had a question. I was looking at your route tree. I'm going to bring it back up. As far as running routes, can you run a combination of a route within a route? I've heard the term run a sluggo. Like, what is a sluggo? Okay.
Yes, you can. Okay, if you see, looking at this route tree, if you see, I want to say the 6, the drag route. If you see the 6, you see that drag route, which is number 6. If you see that drag route, what really happens with that is the wide receiver will come off the line and he will kind of bend that route. Instead of taking it straight across the field, he will bend that route down. So it might cause for maybe 8 to 10 yards. So what he'll do is he'll run that, and instead of breaking it straight, he'll break it down. It's almost like a curl route, which is different from that number 4 route because the number 4 curl route is just a 10-yard curl. But when they call like a sluggo, it's almost like we go sluggo over the field. So it's almost like circling your route off, which is that number 6 route.
Okay. Hey, now is there a difference, Jay, between when you on the goal line? Is there a difference between a skinny post and a slant?
No, not on the goal line. It ain't. Not
Okay.
on the goal line. It
Only
ain't.
got a yard or two.
Uh,
Right.
right, right. On the goal line, a slant is a slant. Now, a skinny post is what they may call instead of running a 10-yard post, they might break it 3 yards, and it's like a skinny route. So they try to get in between the linebacker and the safety. So that's what they mean by skinny route.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a question for you. Nowadays you see all of these guys that have some remarkable physical skills. So you see a lot of one-handed catches. What is your thought and your idea about that? Is it
I mean,
necessary to do run hand catches, or is it more important to use both your hands and to secure the ball? I wanted to get your input from that.
man, this is new NFL. Those are just style points. Back when I was playing, and back maybe just say 5 years ago in the NFL,
So
you
you
really
can
didn't see no
finish.
whole lot of one-handed catches. But the thing about it now is they practice that.
Yeah.
They practice making one-handed catches. That catch Jimmy Graham made in the goal
Ooh,
in the end zone last week, he practiced that many, many times. I mean, I'm cool with it, but it ain't something that's gonna make you or break you. Because my old coach always told me, if the ball hits your hands, you should
you
catch
want
it.
to catch it,
So
right?
whether it's one hand or two hands, it's all the same. It's
As long
all the
as you
same
don't
thing.
drop it, right?
As long as you don't drop it.
Okay, okay.
You know
Hey,
what? Something I've always. I'm sorry. Go ahead, B.
oh, hey, the question was, I lost my place where I was at with it. Was Jay, who are in your opinion the 10 best route runners that you've seen or that's ranked in the NFL?
Ooh, 10. Ooh.
Well,
Yeah,
I did send you a list today, and
yeah.
if I can remember, I can't remember right off the top of my head. But like I said, Antonio Brown, which I hate, he screwed his career up. Antonio Brown was one of the best route runners that I've ever seen, and not only because he ran good routes, but he has speed too. So you got Antonio Brown, you got Wes Welker. You got Jerry Rice, who wasn't fast, but he ran excellent routes.
Yeah.
Anquan Bolden, who wasn't fast, but ran excellent routes. Larry Fitzgerald,
Okay.
Calvin Johnson, even these new school guys. I hate to admit it, Devontae Adams from the Packers, that dude is an excellent route runner. So, Jason Witten, even as a tight end, he was an excellent route runner. And it's just one of the things where you know how to get open, and your body movement don't dictate to the DB what route that you're trying to run.
Okay.
Okay,
You
that's
know
a great
what?
point.
Here was my question. Just say play calls for you to run slant, slug, or whatever. You guys get to the line of scrimmage, and your standard 3-4 defense turns into like a cover two or cover three. Uh, what is the banner like, or how does it go to kind of like sort of like know to deviate? I mean, like, because I've seen sometimes with guys, they'll call out audibles, or sometimes they'll have one where you don't hear any audibles, and it just seems like the announcers will say, "Oh, he was supposed to run this route, but he saw this defense and his route changed." Could you explain that to us as far as like reading the defense and changing routes?
Well, that's really all about the quarterback and the wide receiver being on the same page.
Okay.
If Nick Foles come up to the line, which he did an excellent job last week, you come up to the line and you read a defense and you see it, and you be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna kill this play.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna kill this play. Because a lot of times what happens is in certain game situations, you call two plays in a huddle. Because this whole thing's like, okay, we're gonna go up to the line of scrimmage. They've been playing this. If we see this, we're gonna kill that play and we're gonna go to the second play that we call.
Okay.
So it's really all about the quarterback and the wide receiver being on the same page. And a lot of times in those particular instances, the wide receiver is just gonna find an opening because all you're looking for in that particular instance, all you're looking for is an open space.
Okay.
You're looking for an open space.
So I got a question for you. Okay, so let's say DB versus wide receiver. That chess game's always going.
Let's go. I got you. Let's go.
Okay,
Let's go. I got you.
Within 2 minutes of the game, you know they trying to get to the outside. You know they either trying to get deep or they trying to get a catch and go out of bounds to save that timeout. What happens if you come up to the line and I'm already playing you so that you can't get to the outside no matter what? I give you the inside. You can get a slant, whatever. That doesn't do as much damage to me. How do you mentally, you and the quarterback, signal each other like, okay, we're gonna make it look like we going outside and we'll do something else. That's what I'm thinking about now. What you got?
And you're right. I'm gonna make you if you taking the outside from me, yep. I'm still gonna make you think I'm going outside because guess what? As a wide receiver, I don't care who you are. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you. But if you're taking that outside away from me, then I will take the inside because guess what? If I take the inside and I make a catch, if you don't tackle me, it's called yak. It's called yak. Yards after the catch, it's called yak.
Yeah. Hey, I know we're about to wrap up the broadcast in a few minutes, and we got this D-back versus receiver thing. I was a running back myself. I know Plank was a D-back.
That's what I told you. Come with it.
Yeah. You know.
Come with it.
But what I wanted to do was next week on the football one-on-one segment, I heard Guy just mention. I think it was Guy that mentioned cover 3. That was you guy that said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cover 3.
And Plank just mentioned cover. What I would like to do, Plank, if you would like to come back and talk about how do you defend that, because what we hear a lot of people say, and sometimes I know they might not be, to me, not knowing what they're talking about in one sense, right? Not trying to install anybody intelligence, but I used to hear a lot of Bears fans, especially when Lovie Smith was here. They're in the cover 2, and I'm like, how do you know they're in the cover 2?
Yeah,
and so if you could come back next week and explain like what is a cover 2, because I think because people see 2 safeties, which is normal in most defenses anyway, that doesn't mean they're playing cover 2. They just got
absolutely right.
And when Guy said cover 3, I know a lot of people don't know like what is cover 3, and even when they probably picking on Madden, they don't know what they're picking. They just pick a defense that work. But so maybe you could explain like what is a cover 2, what is a cover 3, how do you defend those routes that Jay's talking about running? Like what is do they run? What is a zone defense? Do they play zone and man to man all in the same scheme? Because defense are complex. And so and like in Jay's case, they put them in motion to try to figure out what is the defense in. So if you be mind coming next week so we can have this part 2 wide receivers versus D-backs. What do you think about that, Blank?
I'm gonna put them in a box in one. That sounds like a plan. Let's do it.
That's a 12 reception. A free 5 nickel. Free 5 nickel. In there.
And that would have been a 12 reception day for me. That would have been a 12 reception day for me.
You must be counting passes you caught on the sideline.
Hey, so let me recap this before we close out. I had the Bears winning 24-21. Tammy had the Bears winning 27-24. Plank had the Bears winning 28-21. Jay had the Bears winning 28-17. And Guy had the Bears winning 30-24. We're going to have a victory Sunday.
Wait, so Jay had that. What was Jay's caveat? No, he said there was one thing he wanted to mention. I forgot what that was.
I forgot what it was too. What was it, Jay?
Right. No, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think my caveat was Matt Nagy is 1-4.
Oh yes, that's what it
Right.
was.
Right.
He's 1-4 coming off a Thursday night game or a bye week.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
extra time to prepare. And like I say, when you think you're real smart, you prepare maybe a little bit too much. But he's
Yeah.
1-4. He's 1-4 coming off Thursday night games and bye weeks.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Jay, for that clearing that up. I'd like to thank everybody for watching us today on Bears Banter pregame show. And we'll see you Sunday, 30 minutes after the game. Chicago Bears versus the Carolina Panthers. Peace.
Peace out. Go Bears.
Peace.